Raider Nation. Thank you for joining us on the Only Nation podcast, brought to you by the Raider Ramble. My name is Heidi, but you may know me as Kevlar Prom Dress or even Raider Ladybug. I'm here with Raider Homer and T3 Raider Facts, and we're ready to talk some Raiders football together.
Always ready to talk Raiders football, even after a heartbreaking loss.
It's time to get back to our winning ways. Atlanta's next up, so let's go.
Let's go. Today on the show, we will be talking about one of the best and most competitive games so far this season, as the Raiders battled the Kansas City Chiefs on Sunday night in prime time. The Raiders led 31-28 going into the final 2 minutes of the game before falling to Patrick Mahomes in a last-ditch drive that resulted in a touchdown that gave the Chiefs a hard-fought 35-31 victory. But despite the loss, we're also announcing that we will be giving away the first of 2 customized Raiders jerseys from the Raider image on next week's show. So if you haven't called in or registered yet, there is still time. And Homer is going to tell you how you can get in touch with us so that T3 can get in touch with you, the lucky winner.
All right, Raider Nation, we want to hear from you. So here's how you can get in touch with us. Leave us a message on the Only Nation podcast voicemail line at 904-701-8667. That's 904-701-8667. Be sure to leave us your name and address when you leave your message, or you can leave us a text message as well. Our email address is onlynationpod@gmail.com, and we can also be found on Twitter and Instagram at onlynationpod. You can also check us out on Facebook and YouTube at the Only Nation Podcast. Be sure to like, follow, and subscribe to us on all your favorite social media accounts and podcasting apps, and don't forget to send us a message with your name and address, and we'll get you some free Raider merch sent out. Also, check out our website at onlynationpod.com. If you haven't done it already, make sure you do it before next week's show, so you'll be eligible to win a Raiders jersey, custom made by the Raider Image.
And what we'll need is your name, your address, and your phone number so we can contact you, and you will be entered into the show. Share it on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. The more times you share, the more entries you'll have to win.
Get it done.
On to our first segment.
Here's the latest Raider news.
The Las Vegas Raiders, now sitting at 6-4, fell to the Kansas City Chiefs 35-31 in a nail-biter on Sunday night at Allegiant Stadium. The Raiders now travel to Atlanta to take on the 3-7 Falcons, and hopefully start another winning streak that will begin a push towards the playoffs.
We got to have a bounce-back game right here. Get back in the winning column. You know, we're a good road team, so I'm expecting us to be able to do so. Of course, you know, the Falcons, they're not going to roll over. So, you know, we got to come with our A game, and our defense needs to just clean up a few mental mistakes that they made versus the Chiefs, and we should get this win.
We were sitting at exactly the same point last year at 6-4, so this is where we can't lay down. We can't slack off. We need to put the foot on the pedal, put it all the way to the floor. We need to win these next 2, not 1, but we need to win the next 2 games and push our record to 8-4.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And the Falcons, they were really flat this last week. I should know, I started 2 of their players in fantasy. That was dumb of me. So they will be ready to come back full force and try to fight their way to victory. So we've got to shut them down.
Oh, yeah.
3 defensive starters were on the reserve COVID-19 list and didn't play at all during the game. Linebacker Corey Littleton, defensive end Cleveland Farrell, and defensive back LaMarcus Joyner. Safety Jonathan Abram, defensive tackles Malik Collins, Kendall Vickers, and Jonathan Hankins, cornerback Isaiah Johnson, and defensive ends Arden Key and David Irving were placed on the reserve COVID-19 list this past week as close contacts, and they did not practice at all during the week leading up to the Chiefs game. However, they were cleared to play on Sunday.
They kind of showed we made a few mental mistakes, you know, but we're right there on the verge, though. We can get these guys back. You know, Cleveland Farrell, help on that edge, setting that edge. LaMarcus Joyner was missed. You know, if we can get these guys back, man, we should definitely be able to bounce back this week.
You have that many key guys out on defense, and then that many more guys who don't practice all week and come in. Of course, LaMarcus Joyner, we thought he was going to play up until the very day of the game.
Right.
But if you can come as close as you can to defeating the defending world champions, missing all the pieces that you are, and coming within 28 seconds of winning the game, I think that there's a lot of things there that we have to be looking forward to when we get that rematch in Kansas City, because I feel certain that we're going to get a rematch in Kansas City in January.
Yeah, and if the defense wouldn't have just folded on that last drive, they just went into the prevent defense, didn't rush, didn't put any pressure, except for Jonathan Abram when he tried to go after the one hit and left Kelsey wide open.
That was the nail in the coffin right there.
Yeah. That was an ugly play. But had we not gone into that prevent defense, I think we would have had a really good chance at pulling it off. Because we led that entire game. We deserved that victory.
We had that team on the ropes.
We did. They were scared.
Yeah, you could see it on their faces on the sideline. They were concerned. And then they came out afterwards and they were talking about how good of a team we are. I guess there's no moral victories, but if there ever was one, this was one. This game showed the Chiefs and the NFL that the Raiders are for real. I think Derek Carr, he had a great game. Our running game, was good. Our defense, I think we held them to 14 points in the first half, right? And we held them to 21, right? All the way until the fourth quarter with 5 minutes to go. So, there's a lot of promise on this team. Lots of young talent. But man, we had them worried. We had them on the ropes. And these we can learn as a team to overcome mental mistakes in the future, I think, with the players that we have.
Yeah. All right. Additionally, defensive tackles Mo Hurst and Daniel Ross were made inactive just before kickoffs. The shorthanded defense wasn't expected to slow down the league's second-best offense, but it still had a rough outing nonetheless.
Some people have pinned this on the coaches, and I think it's a combination of coaching scheme, but also players at some point need to step up. They need to look at seeing where the responsibilities are, and this is where, as Al Davis always said, you start with great players. And the Raiders have a few great players, but there's still a couple of great players away. And, of course, we always said that we couldn't turn it around in 1 year, but we're getting there. We're moving in the right direction.
Oh, yeah. All right, the Las Vegas Raiders quarterback Derek Carr is playing his most inspired football of his 7-year career as the team's progress continues to show on the offensive side of the ball. Through 10 games now, Carr has completed 219 passes and 314 attempts for a completion percentage of nearly 70%. Good for 2,431 yards and 19 touchdowns against just 3 interceptions. Although we're not going to count that last one at the end of the game versus the Chiefs.
Absolutely not. Hey, let's call it 2 interceptions because he was just trying to make a play there with 28 seconds left. And the fact that he gets picked off at the end is not a game changer. He's just trying to make a play at the end.
No, he left it all on the field. He had a great game. He was keeping us in that game the whole time. Like we talked about the last few games, he hadn't thrown for more than 200 yards. But this game, he came out and he showed that it's still there. We have a complete offense. We need this defense to kind of step it up a little bit. And hopefully when we get our guys back, that'll be the case versus the Falcons. But, Derek Carr is leading this team. He can do it either way. He can run now. He's running a lot more. He can throw the ball, throwing it deep. He can do the intermediate passes. And Jacobs helps his play action. So, I'm excited. This game, to me, versus the Chiefs, even though it was a loss, it was a good loss. If I know a lot of people don't like to say that, but like I said, we showed the NFL that we are real. Now you got all the talking heads on TV talking about how good the Raiders are. They can't count us out anymore. We're not an easy out anymore, and the NFL knows that. 2 games in a row, or not in a row, but 2 games versus the Chiefs this year. We have played well, beating them once, and we had that game with 2 minutes to go, and they were feeling it. So this is a good team.
And I got a comment again about Derek Carr. When you looked at him on the field, when you looked at him across the line, and they did close-ups on him numerous times during the game, he was right in the teeth of the defense. He was smiling. He was pointing things out. He was comfortable. He was in command. He was under control. So in this 3rd year in Gruden's offense, he's got things cooking.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You know what? I don't care if he only throws for 30 yards in a game. As long as we're winning and as long as things are humming, I'm good with that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I put this out on social media, too, and quite a few people saw that right after the loss. I said, how good is it to wake up the next morning with a Raiders loss and not having at least 50% of the Raider Nation trashing Derek Carr for losing the game?
I can't believe there are still people doing it. They're like, oh yeah, he had a decent game, but shouldn't you know, right at the end, he turned into Kaepernick again. I'm like, what? What game were you watching? What game were you watching? I mean, be realistic, guys.
They're just haters. That there's people in the world that are like that. All they're going to do is look at the negative things and point those out. Some people just cannot see the positive things.
I mean, even Patrick Mahomes, Sir Patrick, what do you know? He lost a game this year. He wasn't able to save everything. Derek Carr isn't going to be able to save everything. He did just fine. Did great.
Are these the same haters who were going to turn it over to Marcus inactive? Excuse me, inactive. I keep saying inactive. I meant Mariota.
Well, he's been inactive.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty sad that some of the Raider Nation does that. But you know what? I just ignore those people. It's to the point now where people that say shit like that, they don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah, knock it off, guys. Just knock it off.
All right, the Raiders' ground game was led by Josh Jacobs, who had 55 yards on 17 carries and scored 1 touchdown. Devontae Booker added 16 yards on 5 carries, but on the day, the Raiders were not able to break the 100-yard mark on the ground, only getting 89 yards, which certainly had to disappoint Coach Gruden. Yeah, but those were hard-fought yards, though, But that's what I was saying. It's great to know that, in a game where the running game is not doing so good, Derek Carr can step it up. When Derek Carr may be having an off day, the run game's there. I mean, we are balanced. We have a good offense.
Yeah, and I think we went away from the run maybe just a little bit too early. Booker was moving the ball pretty good, and we kind of wandered away from that maybe just a bit early.
I don't know. I was really happy about that 3rd or 4th play in the game, which I think Homer's getting ready to talk about.
Oh, yeah. Darren Waller had himself a day. He caught 7 passes for 88 yards and scored a touchdown. Right alongside him was Nelson Aguilar, who, although he had 2 drops, still hauled in 6 passes and matched Waller's totals of 88 yards and a touchdown. Yeah, I'm going to go to the Aguilar drops, though. Those were key, especially in the 4th quarter, right, when he dropped that long one where he tried to slide for it. If he would have caught that could have changed the game. But Waller, it's nice to see him, play so well versus the Chiefs, especially because Kelsey, he went off. So it's nice for them to have to watch our tight end also,
And when they got him in the game early, he was a nightmare matchup for the Chiefs.
Oh, yeah.
And what I really liked was the cutaway of Travis Kelce sitting there on the bench watching Waller play. You can just see the look of respect he has for him. Like, wow, he did a great job.
What I liked even better was the cutaway on the sidelines that showed Travis Kelce giving Coach a back rub. I had to cut away to that.
I just wanted to close my eyes.
I think Andy Reid was enjoying that a little too much. All right. The return of Colton Miller really bolstered the offensive line for the Raiders, and it was a welcome return. Derek Carr led scoring drives on the Raiders' first 2 offensive possessions and finished the game with a 119.7 passer rating. It's the 7th time in 10 games that Carr has posted a rating of over 100. He is in the top 5 in the NFL through 10 games. So once again, to all the Carr haters, you got to point the stats and say, take a look at this guy.
Now, well, we've got the stats and the wins.
Yeah. Colton Miller, though, man, he had himself a game. Shutting down Clark. I mean, he had a great game. And I got to keep going back to Brian Parker. The first year he came in, Colton Miller and him, Brandon Parker, on the on the edges, they didn't play so well. People were saying that they were a bust. But Colton Miller now is coming up on a contract and he's going to get paid. And Parker is playing very well also. I mean, it's to the point now where it's like you don't want to really mess with the chemistry. Trent Brown, thank you for your services, but best ability is availability. So just let Parker play.
3 games ago, I was terrified just the mere thought of Brandon Parker coming into the game. And now the way this whole line has come together, they're interchangeable. It doesn't matter who you have in there. They're all balling out every game.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Brandon Parker has made such a transformation in the past month. It's great to see. And as much as I hate to give Tom Cable credit, you know what? He's done a really good job on the line. And the one thing I like that he does is he has every single member of that offensive line practice every single position. Coaches don't do that anymore. He's done that, and it has made such a difference.
It does show. It really does. Now, speaking of the roster, we got the news on Monday that Raiders guard Richie Incognito is now done for the year. There were doubts inside the building that he might be able to come back from a bad Achilles injury suffered back in week 2. Well, now the plug has officially been pulled. Richie had season-ending foot surgery, and Coach Gruden acknowledged that he tried everything to be able to get back on the field. It just didn't work out. Incognito, now 37, has 1 year left on the 2-year contract extension that he signed the day after the 2019 season ended. It's a non-guaranteed year worth $5 million. Now, I'll be the first to say I was happy to see Richie Incognito come in and add some stability and experience to that line, but I think his time as a Raider is done.
Yeah, I mean, Good is perfectly capable, and it's not only can he play guard, he can play tackle. So, like I was saying, with Parker versus Trent Brown, don't mess with the chemistry. Leave Parker in there now. And then you got Good right there. Just leave the line the way it is. They're playing well, so the future's bright. Incognito, I hope he does come back because he would be that kind of guy that can help, Good continue to get better. But Good's good.
Yeah, he is.
He's good. He's great.
Oh, yeah.
Now, in other comings and goings, the Raiders announced that they have signed defensive end and former first-round pick Vic Beasley to the practice squad, and they've also claimed Tack McKinley off of waivers from the San Francisco 49ers. Another former first-round pick, McKinley, was picked up from the waiver wire by the Cincinnati Bengals recently, but failed his physical. He then went back on the wire and was picked up by San Francisco, but again failed his physical. Maybe the third time's a charm, but I'm not expecting too much from him, at least not right away. The Raiders also released Dayton Jones from the practice squad and reverted 4 more players to the practice squad. Defensive end David Irving, offensive lineman Jared Jones-Smith, defensive end Chris Smith, and linebacker Javen White.
Man, Mike Mayock's always busy, always working. I like the Vic Beasley signing, but we do need the help, but I don't know, man. The McKinley one, failing 2 physicals. But, hey, I'll trust Mayock on this.
I think McKinley is a reach. I would love to see Vic Beasley come in against his former team for 1 or 2 plays. I think he's really motivated. Maybe he could come in and make a big play or 2.
I'd love to see it.
Yeah, does anybody know if he would be eligible, or does he still have to go through COVID protocol? I know he's been in Vegas for a while.
I thought it was
I don't
5
know.
days.
I'm going to I'm going to be keeping an eye to see if they actually remove him from the practice squad. If they do remove him from the practice squad, I fully expect to see him at least get some burn in the game. Maybe not a lot, but some.
All right, going forward, what is one change you would like to see with this team?
Well, Heidi, what do you think? What's one change you'd like to see?
Fire Paul Gunther.
Still?
Where did that come from?
Gee, I don't know. No, I realize that's not going to happen during the season. I would just really love to see them not play prevent defense when you have a 3-point lead. That's just me. I do like what they've been doing in the previous weeks with more blitzing, playing to players' strengths, having them in the proper position. I can't really blame them for this past week because of all the roster movement and so many people missing practice. But there's still something missing on that defense that needs to be done right. And I don't think it's going to really be solved until there's a different defensive coordinator. And that won't be until at least next season.
Hummer, what you got?
Well, they've already kind of made it. I'd like to see Morrill stay where he's at and let Littleton just kind of figure it out from the sideline, I guess. Maybe just give him some, put him in a few plays here and there. But I want to see Morrill stay where he is, and that's kind of hard to say because I wanted Littleton here in free agency, but he's not working out. And then Jeff Heath played pretty good, but I'd almost rather see LaMarcus Joyner back at safety. And then, I think Isaiah Johnson might be a little too big but for the slot, but maybe you could bring in Isaiah Johnson on the outside and slide in Arnett or, Mullen on the slot. Maybe kind of work that out a little bit and put LaMarcus Joyner there at safety.
T3?
All right. I am anxious to see more use of Henry Ruggs in space. And by that, I mean not necessarily the deep ball, but the crossing routes, the jet sweeps, getting him the ball. Now, I understand that in Kansas City, in the Kansas City game, he served as more of a decoy. And of course, he really occupied some space and took up some coverage, which allowed Derek Carr to find more receivers underneath. But I really think you need to put the ball into the hands of your dynamic playmaker. And I think Ruggs has a really untapped upside. And I'm hoping that in Atlanta, we can really start to see that. Not just deep, but across, underneath. I hope that they really take advantage of this number 1 draft pick and unleash him in ways that we have not seen so far. Maybe this is his breakout game. And I'm hoping that that's what the case will be.
Now, he's had one breakout game, but then that was it. It would sure be nice to see him have another one.
Yeah, Gruden, it looked like in the first game, he really was using Ruggs to like try to open up the entire offense, and it was working pretty good. But then he got that injury, and then he just hasn't been the same since he came back. Maybe there's just something there that we don't know about. But he was back there about to return a kickoff. They kicked it out of the end zone though, and then I like the end around where he got the 12-yard gain. So definitely use him a little bit more, yeah. But maybe it's just something that we don't know about as far as injury, or maybe I don't know. I don't know why Gruden's not using him the way he should though.
Okay, and T3, why don't you bring us to the next segment?
And now it's time for another Heidi's High Five.
All right. This is this week's version of Heidi's High Five. And I want you all to chip in on this, if you will. The good, just like last week, the good, Derek Carr, standing tall. Now, he stood tall in the face of the national media who doubted him, in the face of members of Raider Nation who have skewered him, regardless of how he's done, and in the face of a Kansas City defense that didn't respect him. And yet, he ended up standing tall. And I think he's going to stand tall for the rest of the year. So, regardless of what happens, I think when we look at Derek Carr, we can definitely see the good.
Oh, yeah.
Number 2, the bad. The dropsies. Did they cause the loss? Well, they contributed. Could they have prevented the loss? Perhaps. Can this be corrected? I think so. What do you all think?
Yeah, well, if Aguilar would have caught that ball in the fourth quarter, that would have changed the game. But yeah, the dropsies, they're always going to hurt the team. Derek Carr has great stats, and then I think he has the most drops still, though. For some reason, wide receivers are always dropping the ball. When Derek Carr throws it to him, it seems like. But I think he could be corrected. Just get on the jugs machine. Work after practice. Get it done.
The even bigger drop, and I think even bigger than the Aguilar drop, was the one dropped by our good old number 45, Alec Ingold.
Yeah, he dropped 2.
That was a huge that one was a huge drop. And I kept thinking about our buddy in New England who had that pass that came across the middle. If he had caught that pass, the Patriots probably could have cinched up the Super Bowl, but just didn't quite get it. So that's kind of what it reminded me of. Anyway, let's talk about the ugly. Number 3, that last Chiefs drive was not all on the players. Mahomes had only a 3-man rush facing him. And when you do that against a team with a suspect defense anyway, and everybody gets pinned into the middle, look like a big rugby scrum in the middle, well, when you allow a quarterback with the talent of Patrick Mahomes out in space to just kind of pick and choose who he's going to throw to, that's going to happen. The Raiders simply cannot lay back into a prevent defense, because what that prevented them from doing basically was winning the game. And you would think that they would put everybody back in the end zone and say, just keep them out of the end zone. And they didn't do that.
Here, here.
Did that about cover it, you think?
I think you got
I covered it very well.
All right, number 4, silver lining, more guys potentially coming back this week. If we can get back Furl and Hurst and Ruggs, yes, I said Ruggs because I don't think he was really active in the game in terms of touches. If we can get those 3 guys back and in the game, I think we are, as our boy Q used to say, cooking with grease.
Yeah, we definitely need Hurst back. He's really good at getting pressure up the middle. And Farrell, too, setting the edge. That's something we have a hard time doing, is setting an edge. But he's pretty good at that. And then we got to have these guys come in and put pressure on Matt Ryan, because Matt Ryan is not a mobile quarterback. So this is the game for our defensive line right here. Hurst and Farrell can definitely contribute to that.
And number 5, we've already done the good, the bad, the ugly, and the silver. So number 5 is the black. Bet on black this week. And I'm not talking about the black in the Atlanta Falcons uniforms. I'm talking about the silver and black as the Raiders stroll into hot Atlanta and get back on track. So what I'm looking for is not 1, not 2, but another 3-game winning streak. But it has to start with 1, and that's in Atlanta on Sunday.
Let's do it.
I am all for betting on the silver and black this week. They're going to be ready. They're going to want to show that, this last week was not a fluke. And they want to shut down Atlanta, and they want to burn them. Burn them offensively.
I want to see an angry team.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think we're going to be okay, though. Like you were saying, we got these guys coming in. These guys, they're not going to – it's not like last year. I don't think it's going to go down the same road last year where we went 6-4 and then we just couldn't finish. These guys, they're going to want to come back. They play well. They just need to get better at making the one play that changes the game. And, hopefully they do it this week.
Well, last year that schedule was so tough, having all those games as away games for, 7 in a row or something? And it just killed them. I mean, we went into the Jets game, and it was an early game, and our players were literally standing in the tunnel waiting to be introduced, yawning. They were so exhausted. That's why they got blown out by like 30 points. I don't see that happening this year.
And that was on the heels of a Cincinnati game that was very uninspired.
Yeah. Yeah, they were just exhausted last year.
The only blowout we've had this year is at the end of the Bucs game. We've been in every single game. We just and you know what? The other good thing is, right, is that we learned how to play on the road last year, and we're continuing to do it this year. We just got to get better at winning at home. I think that they're going to be more than ready.
All right, so for our discussion this week, we do have Thanksgiving coming up this week, and I wanted to take a moment to just see what everybody's thankful for this year. So, Heidi, what are you thankful for?
I am so thankful for moving to Alaska. I am just the happiest little clam up here. I can breathe the air. I can relax. Just the hustle and bustle of living in California is past. It's just so relaxed here, and got a great roommate compared to my previous ones that, well, we won't get into that. Got a great roommate. I'm up here with my animals. Yeah, it's a little cold right now, adjusting to it, but that's what I'm thankful for, is getting here, having a great roommate, having a great place to live.
Living with a little assassin in the household.
Yep, little assassin. He's ready. We also have a new assassin joining him. Her name is Clarice. She is a pit bull. And boy, is she energetic.
Okay. So we're going to be including stories of Clarice on future episodes of the Only Nation podcast.
Very possible. But I am not responsible for bringing a puppy into this house. That is on Angria.
Way to go.
Yep.
There you go. Well, what I'm thankful for this year, it maybe not come as a shock when you hear the whole backstory, but I am thankful for the Mark Davis family. They have really endured so much over the last 2 years, and Mark Davis brought this team to Las Vegas. Mark Davis became an ambassador for the team and for the city of Las Vegas. And he made the decision early that he was not going to come into the stadium unless the fans could come in. He truly has become a fans owner. He has become person number one at the very top of Raider Nation. And he was vilified back in Oakland with the decisions that were made here and there. But he placed his trust in Mike Mayock and John Gruden, and it is paying dividends. And I've got to say, I'm happy, number one, that the Davises were able to retain the team and get them into Vegas, where I think Al Davis really wanted to be all along. But I really want to give thanks for the entire Davis family, and I'm just glad that Mark is getting to see some of the fruits of the labor, and that Carol's getting to see some of it too.
Amen. That's a good one. How about you, Homer?
Well, I got to follow that up.
You got to follow that up.
All right, I'm just thankful that the Raiders are good again. We are a good team, and it's visible. They're passing the eye test. They're doing it on the field. They can fix a few things here and there, and it starts with Mark Davis. He went through all that. Remember, everybody was talking trash about him not being a good owner, but then he got, the Vegas Raiders into Vegas, and everything's going good as far as that, except for COVID. But the thing is, though, also, right, he brings in his second GM and Mike Mayock, and he steps back and lets him do his job, and then he brings in Gruden, and then he steps back and he does his job. And Gruden, is that kind of coach that has a good eye for talent and knows how to use his weapons. And Mayock and Gruden have this good little chemistry going on where they're getting players to fit their system. So I'm just thankful that we're no longer dysfunctional. That we are going forward. We're moving forward. We're next year. I'm excited to see how we finish this year because I think we're going to the playoffs. But I'm also excited to see what we do in free agency coming up and the draft, because we are maybe one draft and one free agency class away from dominating the Chiefs, not, getting blown out in the fourth quarter to the Bucks. We are just a few players away from being a Super Bowl contender on a yearly basis. And that's what I'm thankful for, because I've been a Raider fan for a long, long time. So I'm just so thankful that after all these years, the team is still in the Davis family, and the Davis family is repairing the Raider image. So that's what I'm thankful for. Also, I'm thankful for my job and this health insurance that came with it.
That's a good one, too.
Will you all let me add one more? I am thankful for all the Oakland fans. Yes, that's right. I said it. I am happy and thankful for all the Oakland fans who stuck with the silver and black despite the move and remain passionate Raiders fans, because, again, the roots of the Raiders are in Oakland. They always will be in Oakland. They always will be in the East Bay. And as the Raiders continue to improve, as the Raiders return to that old standard of excellence, they're going to bring Oakland right along with them. And I want Oakland to really be a proud part of this franchise, regardless of where they play their home games.
Oh, yeah. Shout out to the Oaktown legends out there.
And then I'll just add one other one. I'm thankful for you two.
Oh, I knew I should have said that. I'm so thankful for you, Heidi.
We are
and
a team.
You, T3.
This is 2020 has sucked in a lot of ways, but it's brought the three of us together, and I'm really thankful for that.
Yeah, I really am.
This is a fun team to work with for sure. I have a lot of fun doing this podcast.
And I'm learning how to relax.
Good job.
You two are helping me.
RELAX. Relax.
All right, time for game predictions. What do you see happening, T3?
It's going to be an angry bunch of Raiders this week, and I don't think they're going to look past this week's opponent. I think they're really going to pin the tail on the donkey this week. I say it's going to be Raiders 35-17.
Homer?
I want us to go back to the ground and pound, all right? The Falcons don't have the best defense, all right? But they do have a pretty good offense. So I think we need to run the ball, control the clock, and keep Matt Ryan off the field. Don't give them any chance to upset us, because we want to get back, to our winning ways, because we want to get to the playoffs. So I'll go with 28-14 because we're going to control the clock and run the ball.
And I'm going to go with Raiders winning 31-17. No reason. I just think they will.
You and I are pretty close.
Yeah. I actually was going to pick 35-17, but since you already did, I changed it to 31.
Well, I'll tell you this. Why don't you go 35-17? I'm going to go 41-17. How about that?
There you go. Ante. Boom.
Betting on black.
Betting on black.
All right, Raider Nation, give us a call. We want to hear from you. 904-701-8667. Leave a voicemail or a text message at that number, or send us a message via social media, and we will share your thoughts. We want to give us y'all's information, y'all. We want to get y'all these custom jerseys, so make sure you hit us up.
And here is our latest message. We had some that were contest entries, so obviously we're not going to tell people your personal information. But we had another great message from Craig in Oklahoma. And he commented this after the end of the game. And he said, blown coverage by Arnett. Still a good game. We didn't just bend over and take a loss. We went punch for punch to the very end.
Absolutely. I was so proud of that team. I mean, they were... yeah, punch for punch, man. It was round after round. We did not give up. There was no quit. And I love the fact that the Chiefs came out right. Remember, they were talking about, oh, this is their Super Bowl, blah, blah, blah. But after that game, they were like, hey, this is a good team. I'm so proud of that. Again, I know there's no moral victories, but if ever there was one, this game is that one.
Definitely.
I made this comment on Locked On Raiders last week. You remember Rocky, not Rocky 2, but the original Rocky, where Rocky came out. He didn't win the championship, but he pummeled the champ. And the champ knew at the very end that he had almost been bested. And he knew that there was a return match. And he knew that he was the champ NFL, not for long, because he knew that Rocky was coming. Well, the Chiefs are in that position right now.
Yep.
Hey, T3, why don't you tell Homer something that he might not have known?
Hey Homer, did you know?
All right. On this week's episode of Homer Did You Know, I'm going to take you on a little bus trip. Yes. Now, when Andy Reid made a federal case about the Raiders' victory lap around Arrowhead Stadium back in Week 5, it was discovered that the team was involved in another bus incident in Kansas City about a quarter of a century ago. It was back in 1996, and according to the San Francisco Chronicle, the Raiders had just finished a practice at one of the local Kansas City high schools as they were preparing for their Week 2 matchup against the Chiefs. Now, according to reports, when the team returned to the bus after practice, the driver was either missing or too sick to drive the Raiders back to their team hotel. Enter place kicker Cole Ford. Ford, who may be familiar to some Raider fans because of an incident in 2004 where he was charged with a shooting at the home of Las Vegas entertainers Siegfried and Roy, different story altogether, volunteered to drive the team back to the hotel. You see, his parents owned a 40-foot motorhome, and Cole told his teammates that he used to drive a bus before coming into the league. And so they were off. Well, apparently, this bus was a lot bigger than the motorhome, and by the time they'd gotten back to the hotel, several curbs had been clipped, and also Ford had taken down a small tree. According to the report, Raiders head coach Mike White was not on the bus, and he jogged back to the hotel. He was the lucky one. But I don't think any other Raider player has been allowed to drive the team bus since, and that's a good thing. And so that is the original Kansas City Busgate, and that is this week's version of Homer Did You Know?
That's hilarious. No, I did not know that, but man, I love hearing these stories from you. You always come up with something cool.
Always.
Thanks. Homer, or you want to kick off the next segment for us?
Oh, yeah, okay. And now it's time for the best segment of the show, Heidi's Heroes.
All right, this week it's a short one. But I want to tell you the story about a couple of my friends and their fur children. They had two giant dogs, Thor and Muggsy. They passed away earlier this year. One passed from cancer and one passed after being attacked by a neighborhood dog. I don't know how that's possible because those dogs were huge, but they were lovers and not fighters. My friends Bryce and Kim were heartbroken, but they got comfort from their other pet, a little cat named Bella. Bella is a young cat. I remember when they got her a few years ago. Sadly, last week they found out that she needed a $2,500 emergency surgery to save her life. Otherwise, she would need to be put to sleep. My friends didn't have the money, and heartbroken, they decided that she would need to be put down. Bryce posted a memorial to her on social media and got ready to go back to the vet's and be with her during her last hour. It was then that the vet's office called him and told him to come pick up his kitty. They had gone ahead and done the surgery for free. Bryce went to pick her up in tears. They handed Bella to him and said, "Happy Thanksgiving." Dr. Saab and your staff at your veterinary hospital in Fresno, California, you've all become my heroes this week. Thank you for saving Bella.
That's good stuff.
Not much more we can add to that. Happy Thanksgiving to one and all.
Yeah.
Right?
And those two, they love animals so much. They've done so much. They've given so much for animals, fostering, helping ones in need. I was heartbroken, when I saw that they would lose Bella. And I actually, when Bryce told me that they had she had gotten the surgery and she'd be okay. I actually cried for them. You can't top that. It's a true Thanksgiving.
Gives us a moment to pause and reflect.
All right. Thanks again to our listeners for joining us on the Only Nation podcast.
Okay, Raider Nation, here's an important number for you because it could win you a free personalized Raider jersey. You can give us a call at 904-701-8667 and leave a voicemail or send a text message to that number. And that's how you will get entered to win a personalized Raider jersey. So be sure to hit us up. You can also email us at onlynationpod@gmail.com. You'll find us on Twitter and Instagram at onlynationpod and search for us on Facebook and YouTube at the Only Nation Podcast.
Be sure to like and subscribe on your favorite social media account and podcasting app. Make sure to leave your name, address, and phone number. Do that, and we'll register you for one of 2 personalized Raiders jerseys we're giving away between now and the end of the season. Make sure you get in your info to win your own custom Raiders jersey. 904-701-8667. That's our number. That's 904-701-8667. Call us now and join the Only Nation Podcast family. Check us out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, wherever. Good luck, and remember, the more you share, the more chances you have to win.
Yep, and all we need is your name, address, and phone number, and we will get a hold of you and let you know who won. We will announce the winners next episode. Until next time, everyone, go Raiders.
Go Raiders.
Stay safe, wear your mask, and go Raiders.